Hello, this is Leonard McDonald from the Love on Display Network. Today, we're going to what I think is probably one of the most crucial things. Actually, two things. Two things that I feel are probably on par with being absolutely critical. But this is definitely one of them, which is identifying what childish things are. You know, the Bible talks about when I was a child and when I became a man, I put away childish things. I feel, as I've expressed before, that one of the key things that keeps males from becoming men is the fact that they just don't know how to do it. And yes, there's Google. If you've got that inspiration on the inside of you to say, I want to go seek this out, I want to go search it out, I want to do this on my own, I can find an answer. But for the most part, because you don't see it, you don't realize that there's something missing. Now, especially if it's something that was passed down from the generation before you, and maybe the generation before that as well. So first we have to identify what childish things are. What are childish things in a man's life? You know, you've got what I call games. You know, you have these games that you play in middle school, high school, and at the end of the day, and they're not labeled games or they'll say, like understand the game. You know, first of all, when it's coming to people's emotions, you know, it's never the time to play. It's never time to play the game, to treat it as a game, because emotions are real. You know, the effects of what can happen depending on the highs or the lows of someone's emotional range can have devastating effects, you know. So first, like, come to that realization that someone's emotions, it's not a game, it's nothing to be played with. You know, that's God's daughter, you're God's son. You know, like, that's definitely not the way. Like, if you were knocking on the door and God was like, hey, you'd be like, okay, I need to either leave this alone because I know I can't do it, or I need to tighten up. It's God's daughter. I'm not trying to incur that type of wrath. So first and foremost, understanding, you know, the fact that emotions are a game, depending on who you grew up around or the role models you had as you grew up. You know, especially if it's like music. I know most kids today, music is kind of how they learn about things. Music is the Google, and the parents are like right here. You know, they believe whatever they hear in the lyrics more than they believe what we say as parents. So depending on the type of relationship you built with your child and them understanding that everything that you say is mostly for the benefit of them, it can easily fall into a place where they just feel like you're trying to hold them back, or you just don't understand, you're too old, type of thing. So for kids, there's an understanding of how they'll perceive what a game is, and that's what they'll grow up believing is the way that you play the game. Especially if you look at life as a game. In certain circumstances, I can see that because for the most part, I look at life kind of like chess. You know, so my thought process with life is relatively parallel to my thought process when I'm playing chess. And there are a lot of things that I see in life that I equate to lessons that I've learned playing chess. So for me, with that type of thinking and the game-wise, it's more preparation, you know, looking forward, seeing ahead, seeing the results of actions and things like that, or actually thinking everything you do through and seeing the different directions it can lead before you actually do it, so that you completely understand the potential consequences and things like that. So, your friends are key, because you want friends around you that are going to help build you up and not keep you pressed down or oppressed. For me, you know, I have some friends that have actually pulled away from me. And the sad part about it is I've never treated them any differently regardless of the decisions they've made. But there have been certain times when they've come to talk to me, you know, and I'm like, yo, like, what's up? we haven't talked in a while. What's going on? And they're like, oh, well, I feel like sometimes we're headed down different roads. I feel like you're going this way and I'm not going that way. And my response is always, when have I ever treated you like that? And just like, oh, you haven't. So what I realized is I consider them friends because they felt like they would pull me back. I didn't feel like that, and I know they wouldn't have. But at the same time, because they felt like they would, they kind of pulled away from me. And in a sense, I hate that it happened because it also stopped me from being able to pour in their lives as much because they were making themselves distant. But at the same time, it showed how they were at a point where they understood their actions and the things that they were doing. They didn't want to rub off on me because they saw where I was headed or the direction that I was headed in, and they didn't want to mess that up for me. So in a sense, they understood and realized that the things that they were engaging in were considered childish things, but they just weren't ready to let them go. So I guess that's something else we also have to take into account and prepare for when we discuss putting away childish things. Because just, you can recognize what it is and still not be ready to put it away, ready to let it go. And, that's a real problem, which means we need to come up with a real solution for it. So as always, subscribe, like the video, comment, share it. Especially this one, I really want to see the conversations with this one right here. Because like I said, I feel understanding what these childish things are is crucial, because if you don't understand what it is, you will never have a reason to put it away. So we definitely want to be able to identify each and every one, and then we also want to get everyone to a point where they understand. We're not trying to force them, because God doesn't force us, so it doesn't make sense for us to try to force other people. Because at that point, we're not representing who we say we're representing. So it's just, explaining to them and getting them to understand, like, this right here will lead you in that direction. Whereas if you let go of it, it'll lead you in this direction. So if these are the two directions you can choose to go in, which one is not only most beneficial for you, but also beneficial to everyone that's connected to you? Because the direction that you go in is the direction that others are going to follow you. So if you don't want your kids to go in that direction, if you don't want your wife to go in that direction, if you don't want your little brother to go in that direction, then why do you want to go in that direction? Not as like a jab, but like, let's figure this out. Like, what is it that's going on with you where you want to go in this direction, but you don't want anyone else to follow you because that's not for them. That's not good for them. So maybe it's something to deal with the way they see themselves, the value or the lack of value they see within themselves. That may have to be built up first. So yeah, see, I'm glad I'm doing these videos. Like I said, these videos are to keep me accountable, to keep me pressing forward to actually do this, because it's been 2 years in the making. It should have been done already. I'm behind. That's my fault. So these videos are for me to first and foremost keep myself in check, keep myself going forward, keep myself from going to a place where I let it slide, or I'm like, oh, okay, this other person is doing something, so I'll just support them in it, and then you never know where that may happen. Whereas if I'm steadily moving forward, trying to get it done, trying to accomplish it, then at least there's progress being made. So just talking these things out and hearing myself with it is bringing other things to light that I hadn't thought of previously. So it's good, like, just keep the comments coming, definitely like, definitely subscribe, definitely share, because I know I'm not the only one that's going to get something from this, and so I want to get what you guys get, because if you get it and I ain't got it, I'm going to feel left out, I'm going to feel some kind of way about that. I'm going to be honest. This much of me will feel some kind of way about it. So you guys have a blessed week, and I'll see you guys later on with another video. God bless.